They say dogs can sense things we cannot. That somewhere, deep in their ancient instincts, lies a wisdom older than words. On an ordinary Tuesday morning at Denver International Airport, a 17-year-old girl named Sarah Mitchell was about to discover just how true that is. She was running late for Flight 2847 to New York, a journey that represented everything to her. A fresh start. An escape from the suffocating grief of losing her mother just 6 months before. She had her boarding pass. She had her bags. She had her whole future waiting at Gate 47. But standing between Sarah and that gate was a 4-year-old German Shepherd named Atlas. And what happened in the next 8 minutes would not only save her life, it would change everything she thought she knew about guardian angels. This is a story about trust, about intuition, and about the moment when a dog refused to let a stranger die. Sarah checked her boarding pass for the 3rd time as she approached the gate. Her hands were shaking. They'd been shaking a lot since Mom died. The antidepressants were supposed to help with that. She'd taken 2 pills that morning, just like always. But something felt off. Her heart was racing. Her head felt light. She pushed the feeling down. Grief does strange things to a body, she told herself. That's when she saw him. Atlas, a massive German Shepherd in a police vest, stood perfectly still in the corridor, his dark, intelligent eyes locked directly on her. And as Sarah took 1 step forward, Atlas did something that stunned everyone watching. He moved directly into her path, and sat down. An immovable wall of fur and instinct between a girl and her plane. Sarah tried to go around him. Atlas blocked her. She tried the other side. He moved faster, anticipating her every step. And then, in a moment that would be replayed on news channels across the country, he gently took her jacket sleeve in his mouth and pulled her backward. Not biting. Not attacking. But absolutely, undeniably, refusing to let her pass. The entire terminal stopped to watch. Sarah was crying now, mascara streaming down her face as a crowd formed around her. Phones were out. Videos were recording. Her flight was boarding. Her dream internship was slipping away. Please, she begged, her voice breaking. Please, I don't have anything illegal. You're ruining my life. But Atlas wouldn't move. Officer Rebecca Torres had worked with Atlas for 3 years. She'd learned to read every signal, every stance, every subtle shift in his body language. And right now, every muscle in his body was screaming one word: danger. But this wasn't his drug alert. This wasn't his explosive signal. This was something Rebecca had only seen once before, during a training exercise with a person in medical distress. "Miss, I'm going to need you to step aside," Rebecca said gently, noticing how pale Sarah had become. "Is there anything in your bags you want to tell me about?" Sarah shook her head frantically, tears now streaming down her cheeks. "No, Isuea. I packed everything myself. I just have clothes and my laptop and—" She stopped mid-sentence, her eyes widening. "Oh God. My medication." If you've ever had a moment where an animal tried to tell you something, where a pet sensed danger or illness before you did, drop a dog emoji in the comments right now. Because what happened next proves they know far more than we give them credit for. With shaking hands, Sarah dumped her backpack onto the airport floor. Textbooks. Laptop. Headphones. A worn photograph of her and her mother, taken on a day when the world still made sense. And 3 orange prescription bottles. Atlas's nose went directly to the smallest one. He sniffed once. Twice. And then he did what he was trained to do. He sat and placed his paw directly on that bottle. His passive alert signal. The one that meant, this. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Officer Torres picked up the bottle. Everything looked legitimate. Prescribed by a real doctor. Filled at a real pharmacy 4 days ago. But when she opened it and poured the pills into her palm, her trained eye caught something that made her breath stop. The pills were different sizes. 2 of them weren't even the same color. "Sarah," Rebecca's voice was barely above a whisper. "When did you last take these?" "This morning. 2 pills, like always. But I felt really dizzy after, and my heart was racing, but I thought it was just—" She stopped. Because Rebecca was already on her radio again, and this time there was no mistaking the urgency in her voice. "I need paramedics to Gate 47 immediately. Possible medication contamination. Teen female, currently symptomatic." The paramedics arrived in less than 3 minutes. And what they discovered made the lead EMT, a 15-year veteran, go pale. Sarah's prescription bottle didn't just contain her antidepressant. It contained pills from at least 2 other medications. A powerful blood thinner. A beta blocker meant for elderly cardiac patients. Someone at the pharmacy had catastrophically mixed up multiple prescriptions. And Sarah had been ingesting a dangerous cocktail for 4 days. The paramedic knelt beside Sarah, who now had an oxygen mask on her face and an M4 in her arm. His voice was gentle, but his words hit like a hammer. If you'd gotten on that plane, the cabin pressure changes at altitude would have accelerated everything. Your blood pressure could have dropped so low you'd have lost consciousness. Combined with a blood thinner, if you'd hit your head during turbulence. He didn't finish. He didn't have to. Sarah sat on the floor of Terminal 7, looking at Atlas through tears that had nothing to do with a missed flight. The dog sat beside her, his massive head resting on her lap, completely unaware that he'd just saved a life. His tail wagged slowly. His eyes were soft. In his mind, he was just doing what he was born to do. Protect. Serve. Trust his nose, even when humans couldn't understand. How did you know? Sarah whispered into his fur. Officer Torres crouched beside them both, her own eyes glistening. Dogs can smell things we can't even imagine. Changes in blood chemistry. Hormone levels. Electrical signals from the heart. Atlas smelled that something in your body wasn't right. He smelled danger. And he refused to let you walk into it. When Sarah's father arrived, having broken every speed limit from Boulder, he saw his daughter alive. Safe. Surrounded by first responders and one very determined German shepherd. He collapsed into a chair and wept. Because 6 months ago, he'd buried his wife. And today, a dog he'd never met had made sure he wouldn't have to bury his daughter too. The investigation that followed revealed a nightmare. A new pharmacy technician had mislabeled 17 prescriptions that week. 17 people, mothers, fathers, children, all carrying bottles of pills that could have killed them. Sarah's story went viral. Not just because of what happened, but because of what it represented. The invisible dangers we carry. The guardians we never see coming. The wisdom that exists beyond human understanding. 3 months later, Sarah returned to Denver International Airport. But this time, she wasn't running. She'd arranged a visit through Officer Torres. And when she walked into the K9 training facility, Atlas remembered her instantly. He bounded over, tail spinning like a helicopter, and Sarah knelt down to embrace the dog who'd saved her life. She pulled out something from her bag. A custom leather collar, engraved with words only they would understand, "Trust the Guardian." On her 18th birthday, Sarah got a tattoo. A simple silhouette of a German shepherd, with a date beneath it, the day her life was saved by intuition, devotion, and an unbreakable bond. But before that tattoo, she did something even more meaningful. She changed her entire life path. She enrolled in veterinary school. "I spent 6 months after Mom died thinking I had nothing left to live for," she told reporters. "And then a dog I'd never met decided I was worth saving." How do you not spend the rest of your life honoring that? Today, Sarah volunteers with K9 training programs. She speaks at schools about medication safety. She advocates for better pharmacy protocols. And every single time she flies, which she now does without fear, she touches that small tattoo on her wrist and remembers. Remembers the day intuition spoke louder than words. The day instinct trumped protocol. The day a four-legged guardian planted himself between a girl and death, and absolutely refused to move until she was safe. Atlas still works at Denver International Airport. Still protects strangers. Still trusts his nose over human logic. Because that's what guardians do. They see what we cannot see. They sense what we cannot sense. And sometimes, when we're too scared or too stubborn or too desperate to save ourselves, they step into our path and refuse to let us pass. The greatest wisdom often comes from those who cannot speak our language, but understand our needs more profoundly than words ever could. If this story moved you, if it reminded you why we need to listen to the animals in our lives, to trust their instincts even when we don't understand, please share it. Share it with someone who loves dogs. Share it with someone who's struggling. Share it with someone who needs to be reminded that guardian angels come in all forms, sometimes with 4 legs and a badge. And if you want more true stories about the incredible animals who walk among us, who save lives and change hearts, hit that subscribe button. Because these stories need to be told. These heroes need to be celebrated. Atlas didn't just save Sarah that day. He reminded all of us what it means to truly see someone. To refuse to look away when danger calls. To trust what you know in your bones, even when the whole world tells you to move aside. Trust the guardian. Always trust the guardian.